First thing, Bruce, keep your guard up.
All right, let's talk about the ultimate what if, the fantasy fight that has been debated in gyms and forums for decades. We're talking about two absolute legends from two totally different worlds. You've got Bruce Lee, the philosopher king of martial arts, versus Muhammad Ali, the greatest, the heavyweight champion of the world. So, let's just get right to it. We're going to break down the skills, the styles, the cold, hard physics of it all to answer that one massive question. If these two icons stepped into a real fight, no rules, no rounds, just a finish, who's the one walking out? Now, I know a lot of you probably have an answer locked and loaded already, and for most, it's Bruce Lee. But what if I told you that the common wisdom here might just be wrong? We're about to peel back the layers of legend and get to a truth that might actually surprise you. Okay, before we even touch on styles or speed or philosophy, we have to start with the basics, the undeniable facts. We need to ground this whole thing in the real world. So let's look at the tail of the tape. And boom, right out of the gate, we hit a massive wall. Just look at these numbers. Muhammad Ali had a staggering advantage in height, weight, and reach. We're not talking about a few pounds here. Ali was nearly 100 pounds heavier. In a fight, that is a law of physics you just can't ignore. But of course, a fight isn't just about size, right? It's a clash of ideas, a clash of philosophies. And in this department, these two men were from different planets. This is really the heart of the matchup. On one side, you have Jeet Kune Do. This was Bruce Lee's personal martial art, built from the ground up for one thing: brutal, real-world efficiency. And on the other, you have the sweet science of boxing, an art form perfected over a century for absolute dominance inside a ring. So what does Jeet Kune Do really mean here? Well, its core idea is no style as style. It means Lee would use literally anything that worked. Kicks, finger jabs, strikes to the groin, you name it. The whole system is designed to stop an opponent's attack before it even lands and end the fight fast. Now, contrast that with Ali's world. His game was all about control and, endurance. His style revolved around dominating the space with that piston-like jab, using his incredible footwork to create angles, and, crucially, having the stamina to go 15 brutal rounds with the scariest med on Earth. All right, so with those two completely different approaches in mind, let's get into the nitty-gritty. How do their greatest weapons stack up against each other? This is where we figure out who really has the edge. For Bruce Lee, his ace in the hole, his superpower, was speed. It was just otherworldly. His entire game plan would be to use that blinding speed to close the distance, land a crippling, fight-ending shot before Ali could even register it, and then get out. But here's the thing. Ali's entire style was basically the perfect counter to that. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, right? His footwork and his ridiculous 78-inch reach were tailor-made to keep explosive fighters at a distance, right at the end of his jab where he could just pick them apart. This is Lee's wild card, though. He wouldn't be playing by boxing rules. His targets wouldn't be the head and body. They'd be the eyes, the throat, the knees, the groin, all the spots Ali never had to worry about defending. A single, perfectly placed shot like that could, in theory, neutralize the size difference in an instant. Yeah, but then you have to account for Ali's chin. The man's durability was tested against the hardest punchers in the history of heavyweight boxing. He took bombs from George Foreman and Joe Frazier and just kept coming. So the real question is, could a man weighing 135 pounds, no matter how fast or precise, actually generate enough force to shut down a prime 230-pound Muhammad Ali? Okay, we've got the physical stats, we've got the philosophies, we've got the key weapons. Now for the fun part. Let's put it all together. Let's run a simulation of how this incredible fight would most likely play out. From the very first second, the entire fight is about one thing and one thing only: distance. Bruce Lee has to get inside Ali's reach to have any chance of landing a meaningful blow. Ali's entire objective is to use that jab like a giant wall to keep him out. Now, I want you to really think about what that means. Every single time Lee wants to attack, he has to charge headfirst through a punishing, lightning-fast jab from a much, much bigger man who's also moving away from him. That is a brutal and incredibly dangerous task. And then you have the gas tank. Lee's style is all about explosive, short bursts of energy. Ali, on the other hand, was conditioned to perform at an elite level for almost an hour straight. If Lee doesn't get the job done in the first minute or so, the fight starts to shift dramatically in Ali's favor with every passing second. And this all leads to the most likely outcome. To get close enough to do damage, Lee has to take huge risks. Sooner or later, as he's lunging in, he's going to run right into a perfectly timed counterpunch. And the force of a punch from Ali hitting a smaller man moving into it, well, that would be absolutely devastating.
At the end of the day, it really comes down to this. We all love the idea that pure skill can conquer anything, and Bruce Lee's skill was off the charts, no question. But the simple, brutal laws of physics, they're a tough opponent to beat. Weight classes exist for a very, very good reason.
And for that reason, when you weigh all of the evidence, the size, the reach, the proven durability, and the fundamental dynamics of the matchup, the winner of this fantasy super fight is Muhammad Ali.
But hold on. Does that make Bruce Lee any less of a legend? Absolutely not. In fact, it just makes us ask a much more interesting question. Is winning a hypothetical fight really the best way to measure a fighter's greatness?
Because in the end, this was never about who was better. They were both titans. Ali didn't just change boxing, he changed the world. And Bruce Lee didn't just invent a martial art, he revolutionized the way we think about combat and inspired millions. Their greatness isn't measured by one fantasy fight. It's measured by the permanent mark they left on the world. And in that arena, they are both